Okay guys, this is video 2 of a two-part video talking about ELAP, the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program for livestock, honeybees, and farm-raised fish. We're only talking about honeybees here. Don't freak out, just honeybees. If you haven't seen video number 1, stop now because it won't make sense and you'll get confused. The link's below in the description. Click back to that one, watch that one, and then hit the end screen at the end, which will bring you right back to this spot. And we'll continue on from here. Pen, paper, notes. Here we go. We're talking about the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program that's administered by the Farm Service Agency of the USDA. ELAP covers a variety of items. We're only going to talk about honeybees in this video. That's what's important to us. Right off the bat, I will say that if you have anything other than honeybees, if you have feral honeybees, leafcutter bees, wild bees, or any other species, they're not eligible. It won't work. They have to be in a managed hive and apiary and used for honey production, pollination, or honeybee breeding. Those are our 3 eligibility requirements. Of course, this is a U.S. program. You have to be located in the United States of America, and you have to be in a county that is designated as having adverse weather or loss conditions. There are 3 items covered under ELAP for your honeybees. Number 1, the definition of a colony. That is the actual bees themselves. A hive is the physical box or structure that your bees are living in. And then finally, feed losses. Here real quick is the actual list of eligible conditions. Earthquake, eligible winter storm, excessive wind, flood, hurricane, lightning, tornado, my favorite, volcanic eruption. I live in the Northwest, I shouldn't be laughing at that. And wildfire, also another local problem we have here. We also have CCD, colony collapse disorder, included in there. Now these losses might be a direct result of the list in CCD, or there's other options that could be in there, other items, adverse conditions, such as drought. They're not listed. It depends on your FSA office. They will decide what is available for you and what isn't. So you need to check with them directly. You need to be an eligible producer. So you have an interest or risk in your colonies and they have suffered an eligible loss. For some reason that's a separate section. They have that here listed. So I thought I'd put it into the video. There are some really fine print, you might say, items here. Number 1, the honeybee loss has to be within the program year, which is a calendar year, January 1st to December 31st. The final date to file notice of loss is 15 days after the loss is apparent. If I go out to my hives and I don't see any activity at all during the winter, that's normal. That's not an apparent loss. Now, when we get to the point where we start getting up into the 50s or warmer temperatures, we expect to see bees, or we go in and do a hive inspection because it's warmed up enough. At that point, when you see a bunch of dead bees on the bottom of the hive or an empty hive, that's when you have loss. That's when you've noticed that, when it became apparent. So you need to notify your FSA office then and fill out the paperwork for the initial application for loss. Okay, for both honeybee colony and hive losses, in order to enter this program, you have to have proof of inventory at the beginning of the program year. So they say it's by January 2nd. If you're past January 2nd on notifying them on how many colonies you have, then you have to do a late filing fee. This year in 2021, that's $46 out of my local FSA office. That is per farm registered. So if I have hives in my neighbors and they have their own numbers, If I have hives over down the valley on someone else's farm, that late notification fee is going to apply to all 3 farms. It's based on the location the hives are at, not the location where I live. In order to claim CCD, colony collapse disorder, the applicant must provide a certification that the loss was a direct result of at least 3 of the 5 symptoms of CCD. You also have to provide proof that you're maintaining your hives actively and you're using your best management policies to maintain the hives. You can't just put hives out in the field in April and come back in November and say, wow, they died. That doesn't work. You have to be maintaining them, keeping a logbook. Every time you go out to the apiary, every time you do a management policy, you inspect a hive, you do a split, apply a Varroa treatment, you feed, etc., etc. Make a note of that in that logbook. Keep it in your office. Look back on that when you do a report of loss. Also, take pictures. Some FSA offices require an annual reporting, the acreage report, for the annual bees on January 2nd. Other ones, depending on where you're at, once again, you guys got to ask them, they will require a monthly or a quarterly report. See how you're doing on your bees and if you've had losses. Now, another item that I noticed that is required by the FSA, they need to have all this information about your loss. And the big thing to understand, it's voluntary. You don't have to provide it. If you're worried about Big Brother, if you're worried about all of that, don't provide the information, don't apply for the program. You won't get any help. Simple as that. One of the things they do require is if you're in a state or a local area that requires your honeybee hives to be registered, you will need to provide proof that you are current on your local or state or county, for that matter, registration fees. So it's part of the program here is your hives were registered with your local entity. Let's get into the money. Talking about numbers, not my strong point, but I'll do the best I can. If you're a beginning farmer and you have 20 colonies and you have a complete loss, this is as simple as it can get, figuring it out this way. If you have a complete loss, so all 20 colonies died, too bad, I'm sorry. But according to the FSA, 22% of those are planned on expiring on you, that they're not going to survive. So we do the 22% times 20, that's rounded up, 5 colonies lost. Out of those 5 colonies lost, we subtract that from the 20 colonies total. So we have 15 colonies lost that we can claim for reimbursement under the program. Market value being $100 per colony. That gives us an intermediate balance of $1,500. From there, the $1,500, and as a beginning farmer, you're eligible to receive 90% of that, which is $1,350. From there, you still have to pay the program fee, which this year is 6%. That's 6% times 1,350 equals $81 that they're going to keep back to pay for the program. So subtract that from your 1,350 and there you are, $1,269 that you will be receiving in order to rebuild your apiary. Hey, that's better than just having a bunch of dead bees in a hive, right? So that's how that figures out. Let's look at a hive loss next. This next example will be experienced farmer. We're going to call it 200 hives, complete loss, tornado, flood, whatever. The hives are gone or destroyed. So 20 hives lost. There's no mortality rate in there. That 22% does not apply. So it's just a straight 20 hives times a $200 market value per hive. That gives us $4,000. As an experienced farmer, you get 75% of the $4,000, bringing you down to $3,000. Once again, we have to pay the sequestration fee for the program, which is 6%, which is another $180, bringing you down to $2,820 if 20 hives were washed away in a flood, or a volcano erupted, or a tornado took them to Oz. The final piece of the program we're going to talk about is the feed reimbursement. And this is not for feed that is an extra, say you had a drought and you bought more feed and you tried to keep your hives alive that way with extra feed. This is for feed that you normally have that gets destroyed. So if we have a cost of feed of $100 worth of feed gets destroyed once again by a tornado, etc., then you're looking at a 60% minimum. It says it can be higher, but a 60% minimum, which would be $60 for that $100 lost, minus the program fee of 6%, $3.60, and you end up with $56.40. That's something. That's about half of what you lost. It's better than nothing. Hey, I hope you picked up something out of this program and out of this series of videos that you can use. It's never happy to have people lose hives or colonies or hear about it or have disasters, but at least we have that here in the United States that we can fall back on and get assistance. As usual, I hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.